So an extra £100 million of funding has been announced as police warn of cuts. I'm going to read into this more from the BBC, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from the BBC with the headline that an extra £100 million of funding has been announced as police warn of cuts. The Home Office has announced an extra £100 million for neighbourhood policing in England and Wales as part of its pledge to put more officers on the ground by 2029. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. If there's one thing that you've heard a lot about from people, and I even remember seeing this, you know, whether it's people who have asked on when they've asked ordinary members of the public when it comes to crime, or people on panels and whatnot, one of the things you hear is that people don't see enough police officers. They don't see enough of them on their streets. They don't see enough of them in their towns and their villages. You see them plenty in London. You see them in big major cities. You don't see them enough on the outskirts. And people want to, and while there is, of course, there are people like, you know, who have questions, and there are questions, rightfully so, about the police and its integrity and its and the problems that it has, and it has a lot of fundamental problems. Let's be about it. But the police is supposed to be there to protect us, there to keep the law and to apprehend those who would do terrible things. And I really do believe that by putting more police officers on the streets, people may feel safer. There is a chance that it may even reduce crime, because by literally putting there, for me, it's about just as much about deterring a crime rather than just catching those who have committed a crime. And just by putting a police officer in an area, you are literally deterring it. Like literally, in a prime example is a long time ago, I used to work in a town called Swansea, which is about southeast London, quite far away from where I am now, and far away from where I am now. But there was, even though there was a police station not too far away from the small little town centre, it was almost near to next impossible that there was ever a police officer there. Now, even though the police station is walking distance, you never saw, very rarely did you see an officer or community officer or whatnot appear. Now, just by having one every now and then passing through makes the world of difference, and makes shop owners, makes retail workers, make them feel a little bit safer. You know, if you're in a residential area, you will see a walking police officer passing by, like not even doing something, but just literally just being there. Just makes, there's a sense that some people have where they just feel a sense of safety knowing that there's a police officer literally just there if I need to get to them. Now, obviously, I can't speak for every single region, because every single region and place is different in all parts in England and Wales. But I generally would like to know this question for those who are in different parts of the UK, and I do say the UK here because I'd like you to answer this to me. When you see a police officer, do you feel more safer when you see one than when there isn't one present? I generally would like you to answer that for me down in the comments below. Generally curious to hear what people say about that. So it comes on top of initial £100 million announced in December, when the government may recruit an extra 30,000 officers into neighbourhood roles, one of its central pledges. The Home Secretary Yvette Cooper said restoring local policing will not happen overnight, but this funding boost will get more officers into our town centres and rural areas. However, several forces have warned that existing funding levels mean that they will have to make cuts into existing officers this year. Last year, when the first tranche of money was announced, the National Police Chief Council said forces face an estimated gap of £1.3 billion in their overall finances over the next 2 years. On Thursday evening, Lincolnshire Police announced that it had cancelled its upcoming intake of new police officers due to financial challenges. That's really bad. Earlier this week, Essex Police said it planned to make all 99 of its PCSOs, police community support officers, redundant in response to a £5 million shortfall in its budget. That's really bad. New money announced by the Home Office is understood to come from efficiencies identified within the department. But senior police officers have criticised the lack of detail in the government's plans and are questioning whether the money will go into plugging existing gaps rather than recruiting extra officers. Speaking to the BBC, a senior police source said that forces had not had any details on how they could spend the first 100 million announced in December. He asked whether the money was for new PCs or PCSOs, whether it could be used to plug existing funding gaps, and how items like uniforms and cars would be paid for. PCSOs are paid employees but only share some of the powers that police officers have. They can hand out fixed penalty notices and take alcohol from a person under the age of 18, but must ask a police officer to arrest someone. Police Minister Dame Diana Johnson said the increase in funding would allow police forces to kickstart the recruiting process. Asked on the Today programme about forces making the cuts, Dame Diana said she wouldn't pretend that it's not challenging, but police forces challenging for police officers. But overall, an estimated 1.1 billion was going into policing. So the money will come alongside a major police shake-up in spring. Forces will be asked to work together more and cut waste like merging IT systems, Dame Diana said. We recognise that the current way policing is structured is not the most efficient or best way of providing police services in England and Wales, Dame Diana said. The announcement of an extra 100 million comes as the government publishes its final police funding settlement, which provides up to 17.5 billion for local police forces for the next year. Around a third of the funding will be dependent on police and crime commissioners opting to increase the council tax by £14. The government says the settlement includes funding to support the cost of pay awards and the increase in the employer's national insurance contribution. Yeah, because they are looking to counter that police officers should not be affected by this, that NIC increase, but for employers and whatnot. But there are obviously challenges ahead when it comes to the funding of police officers, and as we've just read in this report, that is very worrying. When the government says they want to put more officers in the streets, and then the police sources are basically saying, well, we don't have enough money. You haven't given us enough money. And unfortunately, this is the same concept that you have with so many things that the government are supposed to be running. There are so many things that have been cut to the bone. Like we've even talked countlessly about the issues of councils, right? Of councils, we know how deep in trouble that they are. Just as another example of where businesses, where people and institutions need more money to keep going for the state. And that's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. Now, I'm not saying that the government should cough up the money straight away, but I do think the government should try to do something to mitigate this. Now, the 100 million is welcome, I'm sure, but it's nowhere near enough. Especially, and obviously the questions about, well, is this just going to new officers? Does that mean everything else is just going to continue to get cut then? At the time of this recording, we don't know. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this £100 million funding for England and Wales police officers? Will it make a difference? I don't think it will make a massive difference, but should the government find money to plug this gap? What are your thoughts about the police officers in your areas that I asked earlier in the video? Let me know your thoughts and more on all of this down in the comment section below. Now, if you found this video informative or helpful in any way to you, please hit that like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further and financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or you can even join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.